Sirens on Figueroa. Heartbeats in headset mode. If you're wearing purple and gold right now, lock in. Because the whispers you've been swatting away at 2 a.m. just kicked the studio door open. Imagine this. The most recognizable silhouette in modern basketball, the engine of 1,000 highlight montages and one parade down Chick-Hearn Court, isn't a permanent fixture anymore. Imagine the front office. Late night, lights low, cap tables glowing, asking out loud the question every dynasty eventually faces. Do you ride the legend into the sunset, or do you swerve so hard into the future that the city gasps? And then imagine the name at the center of the pivot isn't theoretical. It's a superstar who bends coverages with a glance, hunts mismatches like a predator, and would be the youngest three-letter billboard this franchise has had since a certain kid from Lower Merion grew into a myth. What if the next era in Los Angeles starts with a phone call that sounds impossible until it doesn't? Before I tell you exactly what that phone call might lead to, here's what I'm going to deliver tonight without giving away the result in the first minute. I'm going to break down why this timing, this exact crossroads, has the Lakers' brain trust testing the outer edges of what's imaginable. Why Talk Around the League says the franchise isn't just peeking at options, but mapping them. I'm going to put you on the whiteboard and show you what a new-look offense would actually look like if the torch gets passed, how the ball would move, who eats, who adjusts, and where the wins would be manufactured. Then I'll go into the boring but deadly stuff, the second apron shackles, the salary match reality, draft capital, and what pain today, power tomorrow really costs. And when we've separated adrenaline from arithmetic, I'll mark the line between fact and speculation, give you my unfiltered stance, and ask you to put yours in the comments, on the record, like a front office with skin in the game. You're watching Lakers News Fan Report, the purple and gold war room where raw truth collides with championship standards. Smash that like, hit subscribe, ring the bell, and type Banner 18 with your city in the chat so we know where the family's tuning in from. If your pulse spiked in the last 60 seconds, good. That means you're ready to hear this the right way. Let's frame the moment. The Western Conference isn't a highway. It's a mountain pass in a blizzard. Denver can beat you with 2 passes and a shrug. Phoenix stacks flamethrowers. Golden State still threatens to turn a run into a landslide if you blink. Oklahoma City sprints like they're trying to break a stopwatch. Dallas built a heliocentric sun so bright defenders get sunburned on closeouts. In that kind of league, you don't survive on vibes or nostalgia. You survive with star creation that travels, defense that doesn't foul, and lineups that scale in April when the whistle tightens and every possession feels like court filings. The Lakers have one foot in both worlds, the living legend who can still seize a quarter by the throat, and a big man who, healthy and angry, is a one-man paint restriction, a supporting cast that fights above its draft slot, and young pieces with legit upside. But clocks don't care how you feel. Every mega franchise eventually has to choose between defending the present tense and funding the next sentence. Now, the headline sitting on the desk like a live wire. League chatter has escalated from what if to how would it look on a scenario where the Lakers recenter the franchise around a younger heliocentric star and allow the greatest active resume in basketball to become the outbound that funds the pivot. Name on the marquee of that alternate route. Luka Dončić. No, that doesn't mean there's a handshake, a press release, or a done deal. It means people with job titles at high levels have asked each other the questions we're about to tackle. It means models have been run, frameworks sketched, guardrails discussed. It means the unthinkable isn't unthinkable in a second apron world where standing still can be the most expensive decision of all. Let's slow down and talk basketball before we drown in hypotheticals. If you pivot to a Luka plus AD engine, the geometry changes overnight. Your late clock diet flips from superhero isolation bailouts to surgical two-man game with weak side punish. Luka brings the ball up with pace control, sees a second defender leaning a millisecond too soon, and lasers the skip before the help finishes the thought. AD becomes the short roll sledgehammer, catch at the nail, one dribble, foul, or floater. You spam 77-3 dribble handoffs until a wing cheats, Then Luka snakes into the lane and forces a rotation that turns your corner shooter into a metronome. Your shooters, Reeves, Rui, spacing from the slot, whoever anchors the corner, live on warm-up looks. Your offensive identity becomes relentless advantage basketball instead of asking your legend to conjure miracles on every 5 down. In crunch time, you alternate empty side pick and rolls to force a third defender to choose a sin, post splits that put a weak link in a blender, inverted actions that dare a guard to switch onto AD without help. It's not that the current star can't do those things. He can, and often still does. It's that the reps required to beat 3 top 10 teams in a row are different at 24 than at 40. Now, what does the other version look like? Ride the legacy, reinforce the edges, and hunt banner 18 right now? You keep the legend's usage high when the game compresses. Manipulate matchups so AD doesn't absorb every body shot in November, and build the guard rotation around secondary playmakers who can generate paint touches without sacrificing spacing. The blueprint here is less reinvention, more reinforcement, bigger wings to survive cross-matching, one more reliable movement shooter, and roll clarity that keeps your second units from coughing up 8-0 runs while your stars get oxygen. That plan can win. But the West is mean, and the second apron punishes middle ground. The question isn't, is the legend still amazing? It's which pathway maximizes the next 2 springs. Let's address the elephant with a king's crown. Trading the greatest active resume is not like moving a good player. It's moving an economy. It's moving a mythology. It's moving a gravitational field that has made this franchise relevant in every conversation for a decade. It also might be moving $50 million scale salary architecture that chokes your midseason flexibility unless you thread needles so fine you can't see them. Destinations? If the door opened even a crack, history says the suitors assemble fast. Miami's culture, Cleveland's closure arc, Golden State's one last charge romance, a handful of sleeping giants that wait for a whale to surface. Each has reasons. Each has limits. Each would have to pay a real price, not for a statue, but for a solution to 4 minutes in the second round when your offense is begging for a grown-up to turn chaos into points. Now, for the cap table reality that makes or breaks grown man trades. The second apron doesn't just frown, it slaps. It punishes aggregation, kneecaps your maneuverability, and turns just add a pick into you're hard-capped and your bench is duct tape. Any exit route for a max-level icon requires either A, a partner with the right, matching money and the stomach to pay the fame tax, B, a third-team construction that eats salary and spits picks, or C, a calendar window where more bodies are trade-eligible to stack legally. On the inbound side, any Dončić conversation lives in the universe of, are you even on the guest list? Dallas has leverage as long as they can keep pace and convince their star the blueprint points to June. If they can't, leverage leaks. But counting on another front office to fall apart isn't a plan, it's a prayer. That's why what we're talking about tonight is less they're doing it, and more they've prepared to do something if the door opens. That's the difference between fantasy and professionalism. Let's divide church and state, facts versus speculation, because this is where fan trust lives or dies. Facts. The legend is aging like fine glass, still capable of brilliance, also subject to the realities of time and workload. The cap environment is merciless to teams living over the line without cheap shooting on rookie deals. The West is an arms race, and the Lakers do not exist to be cute. They exist to win trophies and create eras. Speculation. That an actual offer is on a table today, that any one destination is in the lead, that Dončić is actively engineering a move. That's not where we are. Where we are is the stage where locked doors get opened, just to see if the room has oxygen. It's the due diligence phase where frameworks exist in slides, not in league office emails. Let's put names to roles on a potential pivot, because that's always the fear. Who thrives, who fades? Anthony Davis benefits in either world. More empty side dives, more duck-ins against switches, more early seals when a primary ball handler bends weak side help. Austin Reeves in a Luka-led structure becomes the perfect second-side decision-maker. He peels off a handoff, reads the low man, throws the skip or floats a lob, and then sprints back into the next action. Rui's value spikes as a slot spacer who can also punish a switch with a strong shoulder at 8 feet. Your center minutes become catch-and-finish, set-and-rescreen territory. Your developmental guards get cleaner reads instead of go-save-us possessions. On defense, you'd need point-of-attack length to survive the endless guard gauntlet, plus a wing who can take the bully assignment so AD can stay ready as a goalie. The trade-off is tempo. Luka controls pace like a conductor, which can be a blessing in May and a patience test in January. Can a Lakers crowd that craves showtime appreciate strangulation basketball? They did in 2020. Winning is bilingual. Okay, what about the non-basketball cost? The brand? The banners? The identity of a city that sells out Summer League because purple and gold isn't a team, it's a language. Trading the king is a cultural detonation. It's also a potential handoff that says, out loud, we do the hardest thing because the only scoreboard that counts is in June. You will get takes. You will get memes. You will get people screaming about disrespect. And you will get, if it works, a decade of relevance that doesn't need golden hour filters to look beautiful. The front office has been here before, reshaping around Shaq and Kobe, around Kobe and Pau, around LeBron and AD. They aren't scared of the cliff. They just need a landing pad. Destinations, briefly, because you're already mapping them. Miami would sell a documentary in 24 hours. Cleveland would collapse timelines into poetry. Golden State would break the internet. Philly would make the TV trucks giddy. But every one of those needs matching money that doesn't poison the roster you're joining, and every one of those needs the receiving team to accept the pressure of win now, or be the franchise that couldn't translate a legend into a ring. Even if all that aligns, you still have to decide what your outgoing looks like. Are you willing to lose 2 rotation players and picks to fund a total rebrand, or are you threading the smallest needle in the league? Pivot without losing the locker room, culture, or margin for error. Let's make this visceral. Crypto.com Arena, January. The building is an earthquake on legs. The camera catches a tight shot. AD tapping the L on his chest, eyes like winter. If it's the status quo, the next beat is familiar. The legend brings the ball up, the crowd leans forward, and the chess match becomes a fistfight in a phone booth. If it's the pivot, the ball finds Luka at the logo, AD sets the ghost, the weak side corner leaks 2 steps too far, and the roof lifts on a corner 3 that feels inevitable, not miraculous. Both can be beautiful. One is a continuation. One is a revolution. So, where do I land? Cards table. I do not yank the present into the shredder for a hypothetical future. If there's a clean, realistic path to Luka that doesn't gut every artery, if you can preserve at least one top-tier perimeter defender, a functional 5 rotation, and one of your best value shooters, if you can keep enough draft oxygen to repair the bench at the deadline, I pick up that phone. If the cost is a scorched earth package of multiple unprotected firsts, plus the kids who keep you viable, under the second apron, I pause hard. Because the aim isn't to trend, it's to hang cloth. And sometimes the bravest move in a league of panic buttons is to ride with the great one, patch your holes around the edges, and trust that a healthier AD and smarter usage can still bully 4 rounds when it matters. There's a middle ground here. Prepare for a handoff, don't manufacture one. Be ready if the door opens. Don't kick the door down just to prove you can. Let's pin this down clearly so no one clips half a sentence and runs wild. Facts. The Lakers are modeling futures, like every smart front office. The second apron has turned later into now for teams straddling timelines. The idea of pivoting around a younger superstar isn't just barbershop talk. It's on whiteboards. Speculation that an agreement exists, that any team has a secret handshake, that the king is packing bags. Not where we are. Where we are is the razor's edge where franchises earn their reputations for courage or caution. My opinion, with zero hedging. If a pathway appears that keeps this roster competitive while installing a 24/7 engine who can be the face of Los Angeles for a decade, you explore it fully, respectfully, ruthlessly, and fast. You do not do it to go viral. You do it to hang banners. If that pathway doesn't appear, you honor the legend and build the nastiest composite around him that the CBA allows. One more two-way wing with size. One more reliable 38% floor spacer. A bench group that wins the 6 minutes in the second quarter instead of surviving them. You prepare both plays in the playbook, then you call the one the game demands. Your turn, Laker Nation. Red lines on record. Would you move the king if it meant a realistic shot at Luka within the next calendar cycle? Which names are non-negotiable for you, and which picks become conversation if protections are smart? If the pivot happens, what's your closing five in a Game 6 at Ball Arena? Who guards the point of attack? Who lives in the corner? Who sets the ghost? Who finishes the possession? And if you say keep it as is, give me the 2 surgical ads you make before the deadline to turn dangerous into favorite. Drop your take below, detailed, cap-aware, basketball literate. I'll pin the sharpest ones next video. If this hit your bloodstream, subscribe, smash like, and share with a friend who still has a bubble championship wallpaper on their phone and believes defense wins June. Whatever happens in the next 48 hours or 48 days, we'll be here, loud and honest, doing the job, separating adrenaline from arithmetic and keeping the compass pointed at banners. The crossroads is real. The stakes are real, and the only direction that matters points toward a parade.